Chapter 1. Gulliver in Lilliput. Read and enjoy. It is one of the stories from the famous novel Gulliver's Travels, written by Jonathan Swift. The story is presented here in the words of Gulliver. I was the youngest of 5 brothers. At the age of 17, I had to leave school because my father could not afford to pay my school fees. I decided to take up the life of a seaman. So I went aboard a big ship called the Antelope that was sailing out to the South Seas. The ship set sail from Bristol on May 1700. At the beginning there was good weather, but on our way to the East Indies we were caught up in a great storm and choppy seas. The ship was moving up and down. A dozen of our men died either because of the work overload or the poor rations that were delivered to us on the ship. Blown by strong winds, we found ourselves somewhere north of Van Diemen's Land. The next morning there was a heavy rain. The Antelope struck a big rock and foundered. 6 of us crewmen managed to escape from the wreck in a lifeboat, but soon a strong gale rose out. The force of the gale capsized the lifeboat. I had no idea what happened to the other 5, but I managed to survive. I was lying flat and floated on the water, washed by wind and sea. I felt sure that I was going to die. My legs gave way under me. I tried to open my eyes wide, and to my great surprise, I found I could stand up in the water. I walked on and on before I got to dry land, and then some more searching for a house or someone who could help me. But suddenly I felt myself weak and collapsed on the short soft grass and went under a deep sleep. It was daylight the next day. When I woke up, I found that I was not able to move. Lying on my back, I discovered that my arms and legs were tied down to the ground with strings. My long hair was held down in the same way, and thousands of strings crossed my body and held me tightly to the ground. I could not move. All I could do, lying on my back, was to look up helplessly to the sky. The warm, bright sunlight began to hurt my eyes, and at the same time I could hear noises around me. Soon I felt something climbing onto my foot. They started moving up and down my body. Some of them came up near my face. Turning my eyes downwards as far as I could see, I was amazed to see a tiny little man. He was not more than 6 inches tall and appeared to be dressed as a soldier. Then another 40 men who looked like him climbed on my body and looked into my face. In surprise I gave out a great scream. The little men were frightened. They ran off, and as they jumped off my body, some of them fell down and got injured. Then one of the little men, braver than the rest, climbed back on my body, and looking into my face, he threw up his arms and in a clear voice shouted something. Others took up his cry, but I could not understand what they meant. I made a hard stretch to my body and managed to tear open the strings and free one arm. I also managed to raise my head. I felt a great pain in my head as many of my hairs were torn off. I reached out to catch some of the little men, but they were too quick for me. They ran off. Then I felt as if 1,000 needles were pricking my hand. The little men were shooting arrows at me. The arrows were no larger than the size of pins, but when some of them hit me in the face, it was very painful. Fearing that some arrows may penetrate my eyes, I put my hand across my face to protect them. I then quickly decided that my wisest strategy this time should be to lie quite still till nightfall. At night I could easily and quickly free myself. I had no cause to fear these little people. I thought they were no larger than what I had already seen. When the little men saw that I had calmed down, they stopped shooting at me. However, by the increased clamor, I realized that their number had become greater. Hearing a sound near my ear, I turned my head and saw that some of the little men were building a platform about 18 inches high. When the platform was complete, 4 of the little men got up on it. One of them, who appeared to be older and somewhat higher than the other 3, wore a beautiful cloak which was held up off the ground by a tiny little boy standing behind him. The man in the cloak said something in a clear, loud voice, and immediately a large group of the little folk came around near my head and cut the remaining strings that held my hair down. I could now see the people on the platform clearly. The man in the cloak, who seemed to be their leader, made a long speech, and although I could not understand, I managed to follow what he said, as he waved his arms about in a sort of sign language. I could succeed only to understand that I would not be harmed if I did as I was told, but if I tried to break free, they would kill me. I gestured that I understood what he meant and remained quiet, but then I realized I had nothing to eat for a great many hours. So I put my hand to my mouth to show I wanted to eat. The leader seemed to understand what I wanted and turned to the little folk and gave some orders. Soon 100 men marched up to my face, carrying food which had been sent to me by their king as soon as he had heard of my arrival. I did not know what the food was. Hens were of the size of beans and loaves of bread. I ate 3 at a time. The wee folk cried in surprise how I could eat so much so quickly. I then indicated that I wanted to drink something. A large number of men carried a big pot of milk and poured it into my mouth. I asked for another pot of milk, and they brought it, but when I called for a third, they made signs that there was no more. I had drunk all milk of that country. After this generous meal, sleep descended upon me. That was my first day in Lilliput. Word meaning gale, a very strong wind. Collapse, fall down. Capsize, turn over. Penetrate, to enter. Grammar skill. Adjectives. Read the following sentences. 1. Rahul is a tall boy. The word tall tells us what kind of boy Rahul is. 3. It is a red apple. The word red tells us what the color of the apple is. It describes the apple. 2. Gorika has 2 dolls. The word 2 tells us how many dolls Gorika has. In the above sentences, tall, 2, and red are describing words. Describing words are called adjectives. In the above sentences, they are placed before the nouns they describe. Words that add meaning to the nouns or pronouns are called adjectives. Adjectives are also called describing words. Examples: fat, thin, black, 5, etc. Adjectives are of different kinds. 1. Adjectives of quality. Adjectives which answer the question of what kind are called adjectives of quality. Examples: 1. Ashok was a great king. 2. It was a cloudy day. 2. Adjectives of number. Adjectives which answer the question of how many are called adjectives of number. Some examples of adjectives of number are 1, 3, 4th, 5th, all, some, enough, few, a few, and any. Examples: 1. Some men are rich. 2. He had 5 balloons. 3. Adjectives of quantity. Adjectives which answer the question of how much are called adjectives of quantity. They do not give us an exact number of the noun. Some examples of adjectives of quantity are most, all, little, any, enough, some, whole, half as much, less, and least. Examples: 1. He had much money. 2. He bade a little font with hairs. 4. Demonstrative adjectives. Demonstrative adjectives are this, that, these and those. We use this and that with singular nouns. We use these and those with plural nouns. Examples: 1. This boy stood first in the examination. 2. That girl saved the child's life. 3. These mangoes are sweet. 4. Those rooms are airy. 5. Possessive adjectives. Possessive adjectives my, yours, his, her, its are used if the possessive is singular. Our, your, and their are used if the possessive is plural. Examples: 1. The tree is losing its leaves. 2. The husband is working with his wife. Degrees of comparison. Sometimes we want to compare two or more persons or things with regard to one particular quality. Read the following sentences. 1. Hemant is tall. 2. Deepak is taller than Hemant. 3. Prashant is the tallest boy of the class. When we use adjectives to compare things or persons, it is said that we are using degrees of comparison. When we want to describe a person or thing, but there is no comparison, we use the positive degree. Example: Deepak is a strong boy. When we compare two persons or things, we use comparative degree. Example: Rohit is stronger than Deepak. When we want to compare more than two persons or things, we use the superlative degree. Example: Sumit is the strongest of the three. Formation of degrees of comparison. Positive, comparative, superlative. 1. Most adjectives add er, add est, thick, thicker, thickest. 2. Adjectives ending in e add r, add st, brave, braver, bravest. 3. Adjectives ending in consonant plus by ier, by iest, merry, merrier, merriest. 4. Adjectives with a single consonant at the end, double the consonant, add er, double the consonant, add est, thin, thinner, thinnest. 5. Big words. Use more, use most, beautiful, more beautiful, most beautiful.